This is Beyond a Reasonable Doubt with your hosts, Mark Garrigus and Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get no choice but to get on. Oh, sorry, screwed that up, but who cares? Mark Garrigus is here.
Okay, this may be the brightest blue, I think it's a blue, that I've ever seen you in.
Yes, I'm color coordinated. I'm wearing a blue shirt and a blue hat. And, it's all part of the new look, the freshly minted single dad who's got to make his way through the world. And one must be coordinated. Yeah, for my...
Are you? But is there a reason you've done the Greek flag colors or something as a single dad?
Oh, I never thought about the Greek flag. Thinking about
kind of like my big fat Greek divorce or something. I mean, it's like I'm trying. Gary and I have been sitting here while we were anxiously awaiting your walk over. We've been doing some vintage Adam Carolla connect the dots conspiracy theories. Do you want to hear something?
Yeah, let's hear them.
Okay, so today, as we were getting ready to do this show, the LADA put Harvey Weinstein on a jet that landed, I believe, in Millionaire in Burbank, which is the fixed base operator for private jets, and ironically called Millionaire. Harvey.
Yeah, that's the side of the Burbank airport that's right up the street from Leno's shop. There's the side on the other side where the Southwest terminal is and where all the little people and non-convicted felons go. And then there's the private side where Big Boy and Little Boy fly out of, Mark's acclaimed jets. And then Leno's shop's about 300-400 yards up the road.
So as Harvey lands in L.A., breaking news, Tom Barrack, who some may know as the head of Colony Capital, also bought Neverland before Michael Jackson passed, I believe, then sold it to Ron Burkle, was also President Trump's inauguration chairman. And Gary will tell you what just happened. Gary, what just happened on breaking news here with Tom Barrack?
Yeah, Tom Barrack and one of his deputies, as well as a member or a citizen of the United Arab Emirates, have all been charged with acting as agents of the United Arab Emirates. And apparently, Tom Barrack was in constant contact with this citizen of the UAE and offering to get them, preferential treatment, get stuff put into speeches by candidate Trump and then President Trump. And so now they've been charged in a 7-count indictment.
So he's arrested in L.A. So as they bring Harvey to New York, he's arrested in L.A. They're going to bring him, Barrack, to New York along with his co-defendant. Now, we did a little digging, didn't we, Gary?
We sure did. I've been digging into this case all afternoon.
Okay, now, Adam, can you guess, is there a connection between these two bicoastal stories on the same day that you would, the normal person would not be able to put this together, I don't think.
Well, I do know if you want this stuff to kind of slide under the radar, you do it on Friday evening, right? Or, Friday afternoon, especially if you're going into a holiday weekend or something. So if you want stuff to lay as low as you can do it, you do it then. So doing it as we do this show on a Tuesday and doing it at noon on a Tuesday suggests that you're looking for a higher profile, that whoever's orchestrating this wants to be seen, wants it on everyone's radar.
That's a good thought, but specifically, can you think of how these two cases might end up being linked?
So I got Weinstein. Is there something to do with what's his name's island or
no? Epstein doesn't come into this one as fun as that would be. But
if you weave him into everything.
If you go back 10 or 12 years, Tom Barrack was part of an investment group that bought Miramax.
Oh, okay. Also, there's a practical matter, which is if the jet has to return, let Barrack fly deadhead and save some taxpayer money. If you're going to extradite someone from New York privately, and then that jet's heading back to New York, well, put a felon or put someone who you want brought into that jurisdiction on it and save the taxpayers a few bucks. So he was part of that initial investment group, huh?
Right. And then it gets better. Gary, you want to layer a couple more onto this?
Look, I mean, you can layer it in so many different ways. As Mark mentioned, he had owned the Neverland Ranch for a minute, and he was trying to get Trump to name him as special emissary to the Middle East. Mm-hmm. So, and some of the indictments, that I didn't mention earlier, that came down against Barrack are for lying to the FBI. They had an interview with him in June of last year might have been June of 2019, where they asked him point blank questions about all of this stuff, and he apparently lied, and that's going to end up probably what bites him the hardest.
So they're going to want him to turn state's evidence against Trump?
Well, you would think, as somebody who's as close to Trump as Tom Barrack was. Tom Barrack was, for those who don't know him, I mean, he's a legendary figure in the capital markets and has liquidated recently in the last couple of years holdings, billions of dollars worth of holdings. But I believe also that part of that Weinstein Miramax purchase also involved UAE and some other
he sold to investors out of Qatar, and then that sale was complicated when Qatar and the UAE and another Middle Eastern country all started squabbling over stuff.
Well, here's my general kind of conspiracy theory is, and we've touched on some of this before, Department of Justice or whoever's behind this, or whoever
it would be Department of Justice. It's out of the Eastern District here.
Whoever's doing this. I don't think there's such a thing as anyone who's a mover, shaker, and player at a certain level that if they got the full attention of the DOJ would not get through it unscathed. It's kind of, if you're going to play on an international market and you're going to deal with the UAE, you're going to deal with China, you're going to deal with Russia, you're going to deal with India, and you're talking about, not millions of dollars, but billions of dollars. There's no such thing as the DOJ drilling down on your behavior and your finances where they cannot find a bunch of stuff that would appall most Americans who, have small businesses or go to work every day, but is probably a standard practice for those who are in that financial net worth group and who do those kinds of dealings. So here's where the kind of conspiracy stuff works in. There's no doubt that the Department of Justice can dig up something on everybody they set their sights on who's operating in that world. Now, the conspiracy becomes, who are they setting their sights on? Because you could argue that there's plenty of stuff to look into for Hunter Biden, for instance, and if they'd like to approach it with the same vigor as you would with Trump or any of his co-conspirators, could certainly find a bunch, a long trail of skeletons and sort of double dealings on the Hunter Biden side of it. So now it's who's controlling the Department of Justice, whose side. Now, you don't want to live in a country where the Department of Justice is on one side or the other, but we're kind of getting to that point. We're kind of like, who's in charge of the Department of Justice, and then who are they burning their calories on and focusing their attention on?
It's interesting you make that point, because I saw something else today. Gary, I have not talked to you about this, so you can find it. Brian Stelter and Michael Wolff. I don't know if
I saw that.
Did you talk about this on ACS?
No, I just saw it on the news.
Okay. Gary, can we just play this minute and a half? Because it really, it just tickles me, because Michael Wolff, who, give him his due, he writes books or has written books about Trump that have been enormously critical. Wouldn't you agree, Adam?
Yes.
Yeah. And yet Trump still sits down with him again and talks with him again for the next book, and Wolff is, I've always kind of admired his transparency about that. And if Gary can find this, I think it's only 1:22, maybe 2 minutes. It's well worth a watch, and that would be what we segue out of if Gary can find it, because it really says, it really speaks to a lot of Adam Carolla theories and Adam Carolla threads, if you will. When I watched Adam, I just thought of you the whole time.
I was thinking of me myself when I was watching that. Yeah, he's Stelter is talking to him on the Sunday morning show, I think, and he just went in to kind of let it fly, old man. You want the truth, you can't handle the truth kind of mode, and put Stelter in a weird position. But it was pretty earth shattering, and yeah, I guess for me, I'm assuming that everybody in these positions has done. Oh, we'll show it. Sorry, here it is.
And that's what Trump does. He has spent most of his administration seeing people on television and immediately calling them.
But maybe that's how it works sometimes.
I don't want you to think.
Is that how it works? That's how you get access?
But I don't. Yeah, but I don't want you to think that what I said at that point was in any way inauthentic. I think the media has done a terrible job on this. I think you yourself, you're a nice guy. You're full of sanctimony. You become part of one of the parts of the problem of the media. You come on here and you have a monopoly on truth. You know exactly how things are supposed to be done. You are one of the reasons people can't stand the media. Sorry.
You're cracking me up.
It's your fault.
So what should I do differently, Michael?
Don't talk so much. Listen more. People have genuine problems with the media. The media doesn't get the story right. The media exists in its own bubble.
That's true. I agree.
You got to stop. I mean, that last segment that I just had to listen to of all of the people saying the same old stuff. Also, you're incredibly repetitive. It's week after week. I mean, you're the flip side of Donald Trump. Fake news, and you say virtuous news.
We just figure out what is real.
I mean,
I'm listening.
Well, figuring out what is real is not so easy, and right. Most people don't want to turn to Brian Stelter to tell us what's real. I'm sorry.
All right, we can stop
well, then why'd
it
you
there.
bother coming on CNN a few times
this reminds me of every man show, rap party I've ever been at. At some point, some guy had a few too many pops. He's been sitting on a lot of feelings.
Why did you and I both think the same thing? This was like Don Julio infused truth. You want to talk about virtue? That was Don Julio infused.
You want to know what people really think of you? Show up late to your own business Christmas party. Let everyone get good and lubed up. And at some point, some lower lieutenant in the company is going to come up and explain to you what everyone really thinks of you. And that's kind of what it felt like. Uncomfortable, refreshing, entertaining. I don't know what, and I'm not sure what his angle was. He's the guy who wrote the Trump hit piece, right?
Yeah, but in the part we didn't play, I think towards the end, Stelter said something like, "Why did you come on here?" And he said, "Because basically I'm a guy who's just selling. I'm a bookseller. I'm just trying to sell my books." He was just, as you said, the lower lieutenant who would come on the Christmas party after a couple of pops. I mean, it was just it's unbelievable how it's gone viral. And all I could think of was you. And, it's a pretty good line about, no fake news. And he says, oh, well, how about virtuous news, because that's what it is. It's the old expression of seizing the moral high ground and always having the moral, the moral authority, basically.
Well, I'd ask you what the next story is, but we got to just about the end of our Beyond a Reasonable Doubt, unless you want to squeeze one in. Gary's saying, no, we got to the 15 mark. So thanks for that. It was unexpected. I love that clip, and I didn't know if you guys had seen it or not. For me, you can go to AdamCarolla.com and find out where the live shows are, because they're going to be everywhere. And you can also subscribe to this show, Reasonable Doubt's YouTube channel, and youtube.com/Reasonable Doubt Podcast. What do you got, Mark?
Prova Pizzeria in Grand Central. We have a PhD in pizza. Get up to Naya, which also has a Greek blue and white theme at Capri in Southampton. Get out to the V with Elixir, Casa Tropicana, and go visit Pierside, the restaurant there, or come downtown. Engine Company 28 and 10E, Mediterranean Tapas.
So, until next time, this is Adam Carolla for Mark Garriga saying mahalo.
Thanks for listening to Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. Stay tuned for more bonus episodes coming soon.